Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So we are 2 days away from the 2022 midterms, and in 2 days from now, exactly 48 hours, we'll be analyzing the results as they come in right here on this channel. It's going to be great. I'm really excited. And we did the House prediction earlier today on the channel if you guys didn't see it yet. And in this video right here, we're going to be analyzing the governor's map, the final governor's map prediction. A lot of these governorships are very consequential. They could determine the political culture in the state for years to come. They could determine many factors of, what legislation gets passed in a state, what are their election laws ahead of 2024. And that can be very pivotal in a lot of these swing states, and these governor's elections are going to be able to help determine that. So we're going to get into this. We're going to fill all of these out, all 24 states that have not yet been filled out yet. Some of the safe states that aren't really worth elaborating on have been filled out. There are some more safe states that have not been filled out yet as well that we're going to start off with. But first, I have to tell you guys about redeaglepolitics.com. Make sure you guys sign up for the website. You get all of my exclusive content that you don't get on this channel. It is just $5 a month. That is also known as 16 cents a day or a coffee a month. It's well worth it. We have all these exclusive videos and more. We also have the Discord server you can get access to, the newsletter as well. I recently wrote an article the other day on what to exactly watch for this Tuesday. Important stuff. But we also have merchandise. This is epicshop.redeaglepolitics.com. We have t-shirts, coffee mugs, sweatshirts, hoodies, posters, etc. It is all there. Great merchandise available on the website at shop.redeaglepolitics.com. So, without further ado, here we go. 24 governorships yet to be filled out. There are a total of 50, some of which are not up for grabs this year. So we'll start off with some of the other safe red states. We will start off with the state of Texas. Abbott should win, no problem. Some of the polls have him up by like 7 or 8. Some of the polls have him up by like 13, 14. I think the undecideds are probably going to break his way given what kind of a midterm year that we are seeing here. He should easily be able to defeat Beto O'Rourke, who is nowhere near what he used to be in terms of his potential as a candidate, has espoused a lot of far-left rhetoric and has really damaged his own brand that he could try to LARP as a fake Texan moderate. Doesn't work anymore. He'll lose handily. Oklahoma, I don't know why this needs to be talked about. There have been some close polls, but there have been a lot of other more reputable polls that were accurate in the past that have Stitt winning by close to 10. I think he's going to win by more than that. We saw a similar thing in 2018, and Stitt is nowhere near as unpopular now as Mary Fallin was in 2018, which was a much bluer wave year than this is going to be, which is going to be a red wave year this year, more likely than not. Also, Iowa should be an easy win. The Des Moines Register poll that usually is accurate in the state, at least in presidential years, has her up by close to 17. Kim Reynolds there, the incumbent. Ohio, DeWine is slated to win by a sizable margin. His opposition is very weak there. Also, the states of New Hampshire and Vermont, where they like their more centrist to liberal Republican governors, very liberal in the case of Phil Scott. Other than that, in terms of safe red states, Florida is another one. If you look at the early vote in Florida, especially in Miami-Dade County, and you could look at this, it's going to be easy to see why DeSantis is going to win easily. And whatever is going on at the presidential level for 2024 is neither here nor there regarding what is going to happen on Tuesday. Republicans in the early vote in Florida have a 7-point lead, which is absolutely astounding. And if you want to break it down by county and you want to go to Miami-Dade County here, we could pull this up. Republicans actually have a lead in the early vote in Miami-Dade, and election day vote is going to be more Republican than not in the state of Florida. So the fact that Republicans have a lead already is astounding. Easily safe red. Will be a 10-plus point win more likely than not. So we're going to go to the state of Alaska. This one's weird because of ranked choice voting. I still believe that the incumbent Mike Dunleavy is going to end up winning there. No problem really about that. So let's fill out some of the Democrat states, including some of the safe Democrat states like Illinois, where I think that Bailey will outperform Trump, maybe even adjusting for trends, but he'll still probably end up losing by more than 10 points. Connecticut, Bob Stefanowski, he had a chance, but he could have ran the campaign he ran in 2018, actually put up a fight. He's caved. He's pandered to the left, abandoned the base. The base is disillusioned with him now. He's just somebody that is not even really anywhere to be found in the campaign trail compared to 2018 as well. That seat is going to go blue by probably a safe margin or so. He may even underperform the Senate candidate they're running on the Republican side, even though he might, outperform by a few points. It's going to be just that and just about it. So now we will fill out the remaining likely states, and then we will fill out the more competitive states. We will start off with the likely Democrat states, actually. And we'll start off with Rhode Island, where there's just not a lot of information that I know. Dan McKee is hated, the incumbent governor of Rhode Island. He is despised by the population. This is true. He didn't even get a third of the vote in his own primary. And the Republicans have nominated Ashley Kalus, who is a decent candidate overall, but will she have the name recognition to actually pull off an upset that nobody is anticipating? We'll see, but I think it could very well be within 10 points or so. Up next, in terms of the likely Democrat states, we're going to put the state of Colorado in the likely Democrat column. Jared Polis should probably win by close to 10. He may even win by more than 10 points when it's all said and done, but we're going to keep it for now in the likely Democrat column. So now we're going to go fill out the remaining likely Republican states here, of which we have Georgia. In Georgia, you look at it, Brian Kemp, in literally every single poll that we see in the state of Georgia, he's doing very well. He's actually up by 8.1% in the polls, and I think he could win by that margin. Stacey Abrams is, again, running a campaign that is downright awful, even compared to her 2018 campaign, and she is probably going to end up losing at the end of the day by a sizable margin. Kemp's popularity among independents in the Atlanta suburbs has actually gone up since 2018, so if he makes marginal improvements in those counties surrounding Atlanta compared to how Trump did in 2020, then he probably could end up winning the state by closer to 10 points than not, and he'll also likely take Herschel Walker with him in the state of Georgia. So in terms of other likely Republican states, well, that's pretty much about it. There are going to be a decent amount of very competitive governorships that are going to be worth analyzing in this video that are either going to be in the tilt or lean Democrat or Republican columns here. So we're going to start off with the state of Maine. And Maine is an interesting state overall. We could take a look at early voting in Maine. I actually haven't done so a whole lot. And already you see that Democrats have a decent lead so far over the Republicans, although turnout overall is lower there, and there are a lot of unaffiliated voters. We don't know which side they're going to go, but Janet Mills is not somebody who is the most popular governor in the world, and Paul LePage is somebody who has come from behind before, has won elections that a lot of people said he never could win, won almost a majority of the vote in 2014, and he's back again. He's controversial, no doubt, but Maine tends to love him. I can't say that he's favored because I haven't seen enough evidence that would put him over the top yet, even adjusting for things like polling errors, but Maine is known to have some very, very awful polling in the state, and that very well could give LePage a victory if they're off by as much as they were for the Senate race in 2020, but I still am going to keep Maine in the tilt to lean Democrat column. LePage will give Mills a run for her money, but I don't necessarily know if he's going to be able to get it done. It's also been a lower profile campaign nationally than LePage's past runs, where he's been, getting a lot of media. So I don't know how it's going to really affect things in the state of Maine. So we'll go west to New York, which is very interesting because this is a state that is not supposed to be competitive. It voted for Biden by 23 points, but Kathy Hochul is one of the most hated individuals ever in terms of her policies, and a lot of people, independents especially, don't like her in the state. Crime is up. People are leaving. Lee Zeldin, a star recruit on the Republican side, but is it enough? I mean, is the math really there? I don't know. There are some polls that have this race closer than others. Even Quinnipiac has Hochul up by just 4. Data for Progress is a Dem internal, has Hochul up by double digits. The Emerson came out with a poll that has Hochul +9, but they also vastly overestimated and oversampled people that already voted, which will skew Dem. So I'm thinking that this one, it's really on the lean to likely fence. I'm hoping Zeldin can pull an upset off out of nowhere, but as of right now, I'm going to keep it in the lean to likely column. I will go Hochul by 4 and change, Hochul by 4.8 or so. That obviously is not the result I want to happen, but we'll just have to wait and see. The fact that she's above 50% in the polls is a warning sign. Yes, a polling error could occur. The polls are not always accurate, but still, I mean, the Emerson result, that may actually be close to reality there, but that's the way that it is. Speaking of polling errors, we go to the state of Pennsylvania, where there were ridiculous polling errors in the primary. Doug Mastriano outperformed the polls by 10 points or so in the primary in Pennsylvania when he won his nomination, and he is down to Josh Shapiro 52-41. Meanwhile, Shapiro was up in the polls when he went for the 2020 Attorney General slot by like 15 points, and he only won by around 4. I mean, there were some polls that were closer than 15, but the average was around Shapiro by 10, and he didn't win by that much. The fact that Shapiro is at 52 is concerning regardless. The fact that Mastriano has been abandoned by the RGA, abandoned by the conservative establishment because he's not uniparty, he's not like them, definitely is taking a toll on his campaign, and you probably will end up seeing a great deal of ticket splitting in the Philadelphia suburbs. But I will say, outstate, I think that you will see in the rural areas Mastriano run even with Oz, if not even get Trump's margins in the rurals percentage-wise, and perform better than people expect in the suburbs. But as of right now, I will say, lean D, we're praying for a miracle at that point in the state of Pennsylvania, and shame on the GOP establishment for abandoning Doug Mastriano, because again, back in the summer, he was on track to win, didn't get funding. Shapiro outspent him 25-1 or something like that. Absolutely insane. Furthermore, a state that Republicans actually do have a chance to win is the great state of Michigan here, and we're going to pull up the polls in Michigan right now. And Tudor Dixon is within striking distance. Gretchen Whitmer is at 50%, although that Detroit Free Press poll is going to be nowhere near the result. You could arguably just take that out of the aggregate. Dixon is somebody who has really done a great job getting her name out late. She did very well in the debates. She definitely has a chance. And the fact that the polls have Whitmer up by just 4 points indicates that, yeah, there is a serious chance that Whitmer does go down, assuming you see rural turnout high. And there are reports out of Detroit that say that turnout in the city is going to be like 30% or so from the clerk, who is a Dem. That's not good news for Gretchen Whitmer whatsoever. And given how bad polls have been in Michigan in the past, I'm thinking that you might see an upset brewing here. I'm going to give Michigan to Dixon. I'm going to go Tiltar. That's the bold move. That's the bold upset pick. But as somebody who was dooming on Dixon about a month or two ago, I'm really thinking that the energy has shifted in the state of Michigan, and that will be my bold upset pick in this video. So we're going to go one state to the west, the state of Wisconsin, where, again, you talk about another state with bad polling. This is a recurring theme, especially in the Rust Belt. Tim Michels is leading Tony Evers. Evers is an incumbent, and as an incumbent, he is below 50%. He's actually below 48%. Not a good sign. And Ron Johnson's doing very well. He's vastly running up the score there. Wisconsin's a state that you have to do well in the rural areas to win in as well. I mean, Madison and Milwaukee constitute a combined 24% of the electorate, even in a high turnout year for Dems, as 2020 was. You're talking about getting the rural turnout you need, and Michels is somebody that did a very good job of that in the primary against Kleefisch. He also performed respectably well in the WOW counties. He'll likely do better than Trump in them, especially Waukesha, because he is a Republican running at the state level or just not the presidential level. I'm thinking he wins by around 4. We'll go, in terms of these states, we'll go Shapiro by around 4 or so, Dixon by a hair. I think that that's going to be an election that could take a couple weeks to decide, but I still think that there's a chance Dixon pulls it off. And then Wisconsin, I'm going Michaels by 4. So Minnesota, Republicans could not have nominated a worse candidate in Scott Jensen. This is somebody that's gone out there and he's literally campaigned with members of BLM in the past and has supported Joe Jorgensen in 2020. I mean, this is the guy that they pick. He's just like some weird libertarian doctor guy, Dr. Scott Jensen. But he picked Matt Burke to be his VP. Or not VP, lieutenant governor, which is the VP equivalent at the governorship level. And Matt Burke was a star Vikings football player, strong conservative, strong social conservative. That'll help him in the rurals, but is it going to be enough? No. They say Walz by 4. I'm thinking that that's about right. He is below 50 as an incumbent, but still, I think you just look at how Minneapolis votes, and these people are unreachable in many ways. So we're going southwest to Kansas, technically still in the Midwest here. And Laura Kelly is the incumbent, and she, in the polls, you want to pull up the polls, which there have not been that many of them, by the way, which is why I'm kind of just really skeptical to make a bold prediction here. She leads one Emerson poll by 3, but she's at 46 as an incumbent, a lot of undecideds, national environment working against her, Schmidt not being as unpopular as Kobach was. I'm thinking Schmidt pulls it off very narrowly. I think he'll win by around 3. Laura Kelly is somebody that plays the whole like fake moderate optics game pretty decently well, even though she's much more liberal than a lot of independent voters in Kansas may give her credit for. So we're going to keep Kansas, or flip Kansas red. Kansas and Wisconsin are the 2 flips so far into the Republican column, of which there will be potentially some more on the list. We go down to New Mexico. New Mexico. Let's see what the polls say about New Mexico. They have Lujan Grisham up by 4. And this one is interesting because Ronchetti has a chance. He did very well. He outperformed in 2020. He outperformed in terms of where a lot of people thought that the Senate race would go, outperforming Trump by 5 in the state for a federal office that's respectable. But it really just depends. Lujan Grisham is not that popular, but this one is one that there's just not enough intel. You apply the past polling error trajectories that we have seen. They've only really underestimated the Dems by around a point or so. So the polls haven't been that far off. I think that this one will be a very narrow hold. There is a third-party candidate that could end up biting Ronchetti in the rear end when it's all said and done. So New Mexico could go Republican, but 55-45 it holds as of right now. Now we go to Arizona, one state to the west. Kari Lake doing a very good job so far. You want to look at the early vote in Arizona, we can do that as well. And Republicans are down just 23,000 votes with a lot of votes to be counted on Election Day. And that is a very, very good thing for them and good thing for Kari Lake, who's doing very well in the polls against creepy cat lady Katie Hobbs, somebody who literally will not debate people. She will not debate Kari Lake. She's been caught on record saying she doesn't exactly discuss politics with people she disagrees with. She's somebody who goes and campaigns at or doesn't even campaign, will just be caught at Starbucks randomly. She's not on the campaign trail. She doesn't do anything. Lake is almost breaking 50%. She's up in nearly every single poll. I think Lake is going to take this at the end of the day by around 4 points or so. I think that that's the margin. I've said that for months. I'm sticking to it. Lean Republican for Kari Lake, and you look at where she'll get it done. I mean, Maricopa County, I think she'll do well. There are a lot of people grew up in Maricopa County. A lot of these suburban independents grew up watching her. They're not going to buy the Katie Hobbs / media smears. They don't even really see Katie Hobbs in the campaign trail. I think that Wall Lake, you could say, is somebody that's polarizing to a lot of independents. She will win enough of them to win the state by several points, especially in this year, and she will instantly be a fan favorite. You hear a lot of people touting DeSantis to be the successor to Trump. You're going to hear a lot more people talking about Kari Lake when she gets into office. So lean R Arizona, another state that is similar to Arizona in terms of geography. Nevada, I'm going to put that one as lean R as well. We're going bold here. And in the polls so far, you see this right here. Oh, not Oregon. We'll get to you, Oregon. But Nevada right here. Joe Lombardo going up against Steve Sisolak. Lombardo is doing fairly well. Sisolak is an incumbent at 44, never a good sign. And even some of the most accurate polls of Nevada, because their polls have been not that accurate and sometimes have underestimated Republicans, but you look at Emerson, which is the gold standard for Nevada. Lombardo's at 50% in Emerson. He leads by 4. And early voting in Nevada, which does register by party, we'll look at it here. You could see that Republicans are down by just 14,000 with a lot of votes to come on Election Day. And even John Ralston, the guy that for years is always the most bullish on Nevada for Democrats, he's saying this isn't like these other cycles and there's just so much we don't know, which is exactly if you're trying to talk to a liberal audience and you are a liberal and you kind of want to still keep them engaged, it's probably what you would say. But either way, I think that being objective here, Nevada is a lean Republican state this cycle, and this will be the year that the dam breaks. In this case, the Hoover Dam, I guess, breaking in Nevada, and the red wave will just flood Nevada, metaphorically, of course. So, one more state left, the state of Oregon. It's been a meme on this channel for a couple years. The largest detractors of the channel like to make fun of the fact that I said maybe Oregon could have been 1 point to the right in 2020. And this was all before the election, too. Even though I predicted Oregon would be safe blue in 2020. But that's beside the point. There's a unique situation here. You have a very hated incumbent Democrat governor in Kate Brown. And her protege is on the ballot, her successor. And this, in terms of the polls, is a tie, and we know this. And there's a third-party independent that's taking votes away from both sides. This is interesting. It could go either way. As of right now, I'd have to say it would be tilt Republican. I think Drazen's going to pull it off. I think that the voters, independent voters who are going for Johnson that might break away, probably do so because they despise Kotek. I know what the Emerson poll says. Still, it's not enough for me to sit back here and say, oh, all of the other polls we've seen this cycle need to be thrown in the garbage can. And I think Oregon narrowly, very narrowly, by 1 point even, is going to go to Drazen. So already we see this here. In terms of the Nevada margin, probably we'll see it at R+3, R+4 for Lombardo as well. So either way, get a good look at this. 31 for the Republicans, 19 for the Democrats. This is the final prediction we are going with. Hopefully you never know. You never know what could happen in New Mexico. You never know what could happen up in Pennsylvania or New York, although we'll see. You look at Oregon and Michigan, some of these close states are going to go down to the wire, so everybody needs to do their part, get out and vote, take a bunch of people with you, let's get it done. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.